Hey, good morning, guys. Casey, how are you? Hector, good morning.
Good morning.
So, today we're going to talk about a popular subject that used to be annoying to me and frustrating for patients. And, as you have been around for a little while and been in dentistry for over 30 years now, I no longer think of this subject as I used to, which is, does my dental insurance cover this? Those were words that would frustrate me before because I'd get all excited about helping somebody and spend sometimes hours and we'd get to going over the treatment plan and it would be like, does my insurance cover this? And I'm like, no. And then a patient would be like, oh, okay, so that's good to know because I'm not going to do it. And you can understand why that would be a waste of time and frustrating and something that I didn't look forward to coming up against on a regular basis. So the way you look at it now is if you have dental insurance, you have to understand that the dental insurance doesn't work like the medical insurance, right? So medical insurance is there for cases of catastrophes. So typically, if you have a medical insurance, you may have a high deductible, which would be if you have a catastrophic situation that you would use your medical insurance and it would be there to cover the majority of the cost for you. Whereas in dentistry, if it's been a while since you've been to a dentist and you have a catastrophic situation in your mouth, the dental insurance is going to reach the maximum pretty quickly before you reach the even a little bit of your treatment plan. So therefore, it starts to become, as I put it, like a coupon. It's a discount on the dental work. And as people who deal with both medical and dental insurance, it can be a hassle on what is actually going to be covered. And so I wanted to spend some time on differentiating what is covered and what is needed. So the whole process that we go through in the new patient exam to develop your treatment plan is such an individual process, meaning that it is based on that individual's risk profile and the cause and effect relationship for that person. And to build that cause and effect relationship, there is a lot of study that we do during that new patient exam that, again, those risks are individual to you, and a lot of times they're very nuanced. And when we develop our A, B's, and C's, the C's, we know those are not covered by insurance. Those are wants. Those are elective things. Those are cosmetic issues. And the patients say, I know they're not going to cover my tooth whitening, but I want that done. It's a want type of dentistry. I know they're not going to cover, well, sometimes they'll cover braces, right? So that is something that is a C that might get covered. But the A's and the B's are things that, by definition, once they make the treatment plan, we know that those are things that, if not done, you will have consequences. These consequences are not always right away, but they're cumulative, and over time, bottom line, are going to get in the way of you getting to 100 with all your teeth. So at that point, in my mind, I have to communicate to the patient that these are things that are on your list that are going to be a problem. And whether or not they're covered by insurance is a separate issue. So one thing our office does really well is document with photos and scans and radiographs and good diagnosis notes on why something is needed. But the insurance company that does not, and they are not privy to these exam features that we've gone over, just look at something and see if it reaches the criteria. And if it doesn't, it's strictly not covered. But again, doesn't mean that that's not needed, because it is needed. And so the relationship that we build with you, with the patient, has to be honored. And that relationship is strictly based on trust and based on me communicating to you the need. And if we can establish this type of relationship, it can develop, we can get more clarity on working through your treatment plan and not have to go through the back and forth on, can you refile this? And insurance company says you didn't need to do that, or the tooth didn't need a crown. So let's just think about that. You know, if we diagnose a crown and the insurance company doesn't cover it, or they downgrade it to a filling, the comment of the insurance company says it doesn't need a crown, you understand from the perspective that we just talked about, that isn't actually a true statement. If you're with a dental office and you've gone through and understand the cause and effect relationship of why it would need treatment. And this is the distinction. If you are with a dental office where that's not, you don't have a really good understanding of that, then you might want to seek out another one where you have the relationship with the office that can go over why something should be done and why something is an A or a B need, and decide if that value is there for you of going out of pocket, right? And oftentimes it's not totally out of pocket that you're having to put forth, but it can be a significant amount more. And again, your dental insurance may downgrade something to a filling, but bottom line, you're going to, if the treatment gets done, it's going to result in more predictability long term. And that's what we try to focus on. Again, is getting you to 100 with all your teeth. So a prime example, something we come across every day, off the top of my head, would be a cracked tooth, right? We see this all the time. And the dental insurance, if you looked at a cracked tooth on if they're going to cover, and a cracked tooth is oftentimes what's needed is a crown. They're going to look at the size of the restoration that's in the tooth being a certain percentage of the tooth. Let's say 2/3 of the tooth is made up of filling. Pretty easily something that insurance is going to cover, and they may even stipulate that the filling has to be a certain age, right? If it's there over 5 years, they may cover it. That's something that, yeah, no problem. I can look at the patient and say, this is something that your insurance company will help you with. But what's often the case is the filling may not be that big, and the insurance company will deny that treatment. Doesn't mean it doesn't need a crown, because we see teeth like this every day that split right in half. Or let's just take it even further. See teeth that have no restoration at all, split right in half. So if the criteria were it needs a crown if the filling were 2/3 the size of the tooth, but yet this tooth cracked and it doesn't have any filling whatsoever, you can understand, since we see that happen every day, there really is not a sound correlation. And if you see that this tooth, and you determine with your dentist the tooth should be crowned, please understand why, and that would help motivate you in understanding why you might want to absorb that cost totally out of pocket. And we get to like your insurance maximum, right? Because a lot of times patients, if they haven't had dental insurance, it can be a little bit somewhat not clear on, let's just say your treatment plan is over $5,000. And it's like, you think maybe your dental insurance will cover 80% of your treatment. You typically you're going to come to a max, which oftentimes is $1,500 to $2,000. So a lot of the patients that we're seeing, which again, We specialize in patients who have a significant dental need and they need it treated now. $5,000 you reach really quickly. I mean, oftentimes if you haven't been to the dentist in 5 years, that number is a low number. And so my communication with those patients, it becomes very simple. You know, how much is my dental insurance going to cover? Well, what's your maximum? You're most likely going to reach that maximum, because even if they don't cover the tooth that has a crack in it that needs a crown, because the filling isn't big enough, they're going to cover something else that you have. And so it helps once I can explain to the patient that these are things in your best interests in treating, and your dental insurance is an entity outside of our relationship, that it's good you have it because it's going to help you get towards that goal, but it's not going to dictate, at least in our office, if something is done or not. What's going to dictate that is your agreement that this is in your best interest and that it's going to help you get closer to the goal. So another common one of something that gets denied is, the deep cleanings, right? Deep cleanings, you got a regular cleaning, you got a perio-prophy, which is a little bit more involved, and then you have scaling and root planing. I talk to patients about, we diagnose if you're going to need each one of those. So if we diagnose a cleaning, then that means that basically you're getting a cleaning that involves cleaning everything above the gum line, and you're not having to go, you are cleaning below the gum line, but you're not having to go below the gum line that is healthy, which would be 2 to 3 millimeters. So if it's been a while and you're developing some pocketing and you're developing a lot of debris, calculus, tartar that exists below a healthy gum line, then by definition you would need scaling and root planing. Again, you're there touching, feeling, looking, probing, seeing, understanding this correlation with disease, whereas for the insurance company, they get a set of x-rays and are making that determination based on some criteria, which are usually pocket depths and bone loss. So if they don't cover the SRPs, doesn't mean that you don't need the SRPs, because the risk in not having it treated correctly would mean this is going to continue and you're going to continue to have disease and bone loss. So you think of plenty of examples more, but I think you get the point of you're really relying on that relationship you have with your dental office and on clear communication of why something should be done and what value you're going to be able to receive from that, and not have the insurance company dictate that treatment plan.